Hello YouTube, it's Rom from Ramen Noodles TCG, and today I have a Salamangreat deck profile for you. So, I started playing this deck in Master Duel, but I picked it up in the TCG when Legacy of Destruction came out. Code of Soul was really cool, and around the time of the release, I ended up buying a deck core from someone at First Capital Gaming, because the deck looked cool and he had all the high rarity stuff, and it was cool. So I've been playing it on and off. I've been doing decently at locals with it, but it's not insane. Like, I haven't taken this deck to regionals, or it's not what I played at the OTS championships or anything super major, but I've been playing it on and off. The testing has been going pretty well. This was the deck I took with me on vacation. I went to Toronto to play in locals up there, and, do sightseeing, normal people things, not just to go to locals. But I played at Game Nation and 401 Games up in Toronto, and those were really great locals. I had a good time, but I did not do super well. Salad is solid, but I wasn't playing my best, and getting my ass handed to me by the Canadians really helped motivate me to keep working on the deck, and yeah, it gave me some new ideas. So before we get into it, I do want to shout out 3 local Salamangreat players. I want to thank Yancy, Hillary, and especially Mark. Those 3 help keep me motivated to, keep going with Salad. It's good to see some local representation for one of my favorite decks. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. So, starting off with the monsters, 3 Lady Debug. This is the main normal summon of the deck. She grabs you Gazelle or whatever other combo piece you're missing. You're playing 3 Gazelle in beautiful QCR. Gazelle obviously is also a 1-card starter, but you'd rather special summon it off its own effect than normal summon it, but normal summoning it does still do a full combo. Yeah, I'm so glad they brought this card back to 3. So the cards you want to dump off of Gazelle are Foxy, Jack Jaguar, and 2 Spinny. So Spinny is the best extender of these 3, but I'm only playing 2. 3 Spinny was the standard for a while, but eventually I cut the 3rd Spinny for a Foolish Burial, and then I cut the Foolish Burial altogether, and I haven't missed it much. Spinny is good, but 2 is enough. You can keep recycling them. And we have enough names now where you don't need 3 Spinny. That being said, it's a very good card. I definitely like playing multiples of this, especially because it's better to open than the other 2. The other Salamangreat cards can tend to clog your hand. Foxy and Jack Jaguar are incredible cards, though. You do still need the one-ofs. Foxy is really good because it doesn't require you to have a Salamangreat on field, which is very important for playing around board wipes, specifically Nibiru. That's going to be a common theme in this deck profile, because that has traditionally been a major weakness of the Salamangreat strategy. So, not only does Jack Jaguar help with the grind game, but it's important for one specific combo line that I'll talk about later. For the other Salamangreat monsters, I am playing 1 Salamangreat of Fire, 1 Weasel, and 1 Mirror. So, of Fire is an okay normal summon, but I only want to play 1 because it's part of the combo. So, I'd rather summon this off of Mirage Stallion than normal summon it. It locks you into Fires after you use the effect to search, and I do want to have access to non-Fire extra deck monsters. I was trying more of this before, and it was fine, but I felt like it was consistent enough with just the 1. Weasel is an incredible extender. This is one of the best ways to play through Nibiru. You can just hold the Weasel and use it later in the turn. Some people play multiple Weasel. I've seen some lists with 2, but I think 1 is fine. It recycles itself, so there's no need to play anymore, I think. Mirror, I don't think this card is very good, but you have to play it. Essentially, it's Breeze, so it turns your searchers into E-Tellies. It's fine. Yeah, this kind of sucks to draw, but I think we need it just for more extenders. Speaking of more extenders, I'm playing the 1 honorary Salamangreat card, EMP Meowmine. This is a generic Cyberse extender that you can play in any Link deck. And the bounce effect does come up. You can set this up going first, and I'll talk about that when I get to the extra deck. But essentially, Meowmine is a second Weasel that you can use to extend after getting Nibiru'd. It's important to note that it does not have an effect to summon itself. It is a summoning condition, so you can still use this while you're under the lock of Mirage Dahlia. So, for some cards I'm not playing, I was testing Falco super early on, but I decided to cut it really, really early because it just wasn't that good. I didn't need the recycling. I had enough recycling already. Foul, I've seen a few lists play Foul. It's okay, but it's not amazing. Level 4 extender is not what you need in this deck. I saw some guy at the regional playing Salamangreat Wolvie. Don't play Salamangreat Wolvie, that card is terrible. On to the Salamangreat spells. For the searchers, we have 3 Circle. I am also playing 3 Signet Mining. These are really good for consistency. Mining discards, and it's a -1, but in this deck it's not a big deal. You're okay with pitching some of your names, and a lot of them you'd rather discard, so they're into the graveyard instead of clocking your hand. And yes, when you do pitch a Salamangreat with this and search Gazelle, the Gazelle will trigger. That's a cool interaction. Also, keep in mind that Signet Mining does not discard cards. It sends from hand to graveyard, so you can't activate this under Dimensional Shifter, which is pretty unfortunate, but that's how this card is worded. Circle being a quick play spell helps with Droll. You can chain it to Droll to get that extra search before you're locked under it. I am playing the 2 Reborn spells. Will being a Reborn for multiples is quite good. Some people don't play this, but I like it. And it's important for a combo I'll talk about later. Salamangreat Charge is a multi-purpose tool. So not only is it recycling and a Reborn, but it's also removal. So if you look at that second effect, essentially you'll trigger it after you've used your Promethean Princess pop, because your Salamangreat Raging Phoenix will bring itself back, and then you can use the charge pop, if you haven't already set this up. So a lot of times when you have everything else, you will be able to either search or dump charge, and then you can add this back during your combo as another way of playing around Nib, because essentially you can just set this, and then if your opponent nibs you at the end of your turn, you can just flip this up to revive a Salamangreat monster to have your Roar live anyway. And obviously we have the 1 Sanctuary. This is the main way of getting your relinks going. You can technically relink your link for Raging Phoenix without this. Let's say your opponent negates your Balinks to search this. You can still do it without Sanctuary, but it's a bit harder. You have to use your Weasel activation, but it is still possible. And obviously I'm playing the one Roar. Being able to search a counter trap is a major upside of playing this deck over other decks of this format. Salad isn't amazing, but this is a really nice perk to playing this. I'm not playing Rage main. I'm siding it. I'll talk about that a little bit later. This, I think, is much better to search blind in a Game 1 scenario. Rage is just a bit more specific, but still good. This is a Salamangreat deck, so naturally we have a lot of hand traps. I am playing 15 in a 42 card main deck. We have 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Effect Veiler, 3 Imperm, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Droll. So these, I think, are the best 15 hand traps you can be playing this format. Ghost Ogre is also decent. I couldn't find room for it. Potentially, I could be siding Ghost Ogre, and I'll talk about that more a little bit later. But right now, I think this hand trap lineup is pretty good. On to the last 3 main deck slots. I am playing 1 copy of Called by the Grave, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, and 1 Rivalry of Warlords. So these 2 are hand trap insurance. Called by is, obviously, it's really good. Triple Tactics Talent is also a thrust target for the thrusts in my side deck. And yeah, it's just a generically good card. Rivalry of Warlords is insane in Salamangreat. So you can actually lock your opponent under Rivalry if they're not playing a Cyber deck. So you could use Weasel to give your opponent a monster. Usually you'll give them Phalanx. And then you can use the Sanctuary effect to reduce the attack of your own monster when your opponent tries to crash the Phalanx into it. So they cannot get rid of the Phalanx, and they stay locked into Cyberse monsters. Unless they have something they can, like, tribute set or whatever. Yeah, it's really hard to deal with. And that's why I'm maining the Rivalry, even though it's not amazing this format. But I think it's worth maining still. Feel free to side this, though, if you don't want to main it. Speaking of side deck cards, moving on to my side, I have the aforementioned Thrusts. I maybe could play a third one of this, but I just couldn't find the space. I am playing the 1 Rage I mentioned earlier, and Dimensional Barrier as an alternate side deck thrust target. So Roar is really good in removal-heavy matchups, where you need the removal. Stuff like Labyrinth, Sprite, that kind of stuff, it's really good. Also, in matchups where you don't get hand-trapped a lot, you can set up both Rage and Roar, which is really strong and really difficult for your opponent to deal with. Like against Stun, for example, setting up both is very good. Being able to thrust into Dimensional Barrier is very important for beating Dimension Shifter. This deck gets folded really hard by Shifter. There's not a whole lot you can do under it, so you just kind of have to thrust into D-Barrier and pray. Obviously, you call Synchro against Tenpai and Fusion against Ritual Beast. Now, having played Ritual Beast myself, Dimensional Barrier call Fusion is not always enough. There's Link plays and Xyz plays that a Ritual Beast player can make. You usually survive, but a Ritual Beast player might be able to go Protoss Call Fire while under D-Barrier, which is terrifying, but that might be possible with a good hand. So you usually need D-Barrier plus something else to stop a good Ritual Beast hand after getting shifted, which is rough, but, you know, not a whole lot we can do about it. I'm not going to play Lancia just to beat Ritual Beast, guys. So, on to some other side deck cards. We have some backer removal. Duster is also a thrust target. I have some breakers, 2 droplets, 3 Eclipse. Eclipse is really good in Link decks because we end on a bunch of Link monsters, so it's really good back row for going first. Especially against other Link decks like Snake Eyes. Droplet is also really good in this deck. You have plenty of stuff to send. We play a fairly decent spell count, not that high, but you can discard monsters from your hand and trigger Gazelle and such. Droplet's really strong. Now, this last slot is a bit experimental. I wanted another hand trap specifically for Fiendsmith stuff, and instead of playing Bestials, because we don't have that many generic Link monsters, I decided to play Ally of just a Cycle Reader. This might be a little bit out there, but I think it's pretty cool. So, your opponent will go Engraver, search Tract, Tract, search, and then discard Lurry. And then, in response to Lurry, you can Cycle Reader both the Lurry and the Engraver to get 2 Light Fiends out of the graveyard and get really good value out of it. This might be a bit of an, this might be a little bit cope. Maybe Bestials are better even in this deck, but I think Cycle Reader is worth trying out. I've been doing okay with it, but feel free to play Bestials instead or something else. If I were to cut something for the Ghost Ogre, I'd probably cut 1 Cycle Reader and 1 Eclipse. So yeah, that's the side. Moving on to the extra deck. We have 3 copies of Balinks. I think you need 3 in this, especially if you're playing the version with Lady Debug. The Debug combo goes through 2 Balinks on the first turn, and sometimes you'll go through 2 Balinks on the first turn even without Debug. So you definitely want to have the third one for follow-up. And just for grindy games, it's really good. I think you should be playing 3. For some Link 2s, I have 2 Sunlight Wolf and a Hida. Obviously, there's a few more, but I'll talk about those a little later. So, Sunlight Wolf is, you know, it's Sunlight Wolf. It's an incredible card. It's recycling, it's recursion. He's the man of the hour. So, I wanted to find space for a third, but I couldn't. Sunlight Wolf is what you'll want to end on in addition to your Link 4. So when you Promethean Princess pop your Sunlight Wolf, it'll trigger the Meow Mine in Graveyard. That's how you set up the Meow Mine pop, or bounce, excuse me. I kept getting ashed, and I kept not having Hida to extend, so I finally broke down and replaced the third Sunlight Wolf with the Hida, and it's worked out really well. For the 1 Link 3, we are playing Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess is broken in this deck. Genuinely an incredible card. So not only is she really good for just climbing from a Link 2 into a Link 4 really quickly, but when you summon something to your opponent's field with Weasel, that triggers Promethean Princess. So let's say you get hit with Nibiru, you can summon something, link it off for Balinks, trigger Promcess, and then all of a sudden you're back into the game. And this is also how you can relink your Link 4 without Sanctuary. I'll talk about that when I talk about Raging Phoenix. So I'm playing 3 Raging Phoenix. I was playing 2 for a while, but I thought I needed the third one. It's just really nice to have the third for follow-up. Being able to immediately relink this again for another search at the start of your opponent's turn. I cut the Pyro Phoenix combo from this because it felt a little too high investment. I had to play into hand traps more. If you saw the combo video, the YouTube short that I made with the Pyro Phoenix combo, you'll see a guy complaining in the comments section that it dies to 1 hand trap. And as much as I hate to admit it, he's kind of right. You need a ton of extenders to make that combo work through any sort of hand trap. And it's just not worth it. Being able to set up Raging Phoenix, just Raging Phoenix, backed up by hand traps is usually enough anyway. So that's why I'm doing it like this. Raging Phoenix is your searcher, obviously. And when a fire monster is destroyed on your field, it revives itself. So you can link this and Promethean Princess into a second Raging Phoenix after the Process pop triggers the Raging Phoenix Engrave. Yeah. Also, the Salamangreat of Fire helps you OTK using Raging Phoenix. So you can attack with Raging Phoenix, use Of Fire to pop your own Raging Phoenix, and then the second copy of Raging Phoenix will trigger in Graveyard, summoning itself back as a 5600 monster, which is huge. Onto some, well, for the last fire, we have obviously the Mirage Stalio. This is important for the combo. Yeah, you make this almost every game. It's just really important. I'm playing the one SP. SP is really good. I was playing without this for a little bit. I just wanted to try it. This was a holdover for when I was playing multiple of Fire. I was fire locked a lot more, so I wasn't playing SP because I wasn't able to summon her. But after I cut of Fire down to 1, I started playing SP, and it came up a lot. It's really good with Meow Mine. It's just a really good card in general. Zealantis is a decent utility card. Essentially, you do the same OTK play that Snake Eyes does, except you're locked into fires sometimes. So it's more of a turn 3. It's more of a turn 3 play to clean up gummy board states and just end the game. Because sometimes that can be hard to do, especially against grindy decks like Yubel or Fire King Snake Eyes. It can be tough to crack those boards, so Zealantis helps with that. So some issues with sealing that I was running into after I cut the Pyro Phoenix combo. I got some advice from one of the guys at 401 Games, and he recommended I try IP Masquerada in this deck, and she works really well. So the combo I was talking about that uses Jack Jaguar, essentially what you can do is, if you already have, let's say you already have Roar, you can search Will of the Salamangreat off of Raging Phoenix and then Reborn everything and then make IP. So you can IP summon SP or the Nightmare Phoenix, because sometimes you use Promethean Princess first. Let's say your opponent specials Fenrir and you want to get rid of the Fenrir, you can pop it and then you have Phoenix for later. But the idea behind IP is, if you have a hand that has a lot of Salamangreat cards and you need a better board to make because you don't have as many hand traps, you can avoid summoning of Fire and instead just dump Jack Jaguar for extra extension, and then now that you're not fire locked, you're only under the Mirage Stalio restriction. You summon Jack Jaguar off of Mirage Stalio instead of Fire. You can link up into your Raging Phoenix, relink the Raging Phoenix, and then with the extra materials you can make IP. That's the idea. There were other things I was considering for this last slot. Another thing I can do to increase the ceiling is playing Horse Prince. So Horse Prince, from my combo earlier, was supposed to summon Code of Soul, but now that I'm not playing Code of Soul because I don't need it, I can summon Ash Blossom from the deck, and then add it back with Sunlight Wolf, or bounce it with Mirage Stalio. So being able to search Ash is a really good extra layer of interruption to add to an end board, but I just couldn't find the room. Another card I wanted to play was Cyberse Wicked. So a lot of your combo lines don't need Wicked, but if you have enough gas, you can go into Wicked, summon something to the Wicked zone, and then go Wicked effect to search Weasel. So that way you can search something else with your Of Fire and just generate a lot more resources. This helps you play around Nib super well. Not that you don't play around Nib okay already, but this gets you the Weasel Search super early. So even in hands where you don't have access to an extra searcher, you can get protection from an early Nibiru through Wicked. So yeah, that's the deck. If you want to see more content, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel. Have a great day. Thank you.